Welcome back to Coming Distractions. We're joined this month by our old friend, Louise Lynch. She is, been on the podcast before, and now she's in living color.
Hey, great to be here.
And so Coming Distractions is usually where we talk about things that we've seen recently, and they can be old, they could be new, they could be good, they could be bad. It really is just, a matter of like sharing other films and insights. So for me, last month I got to go to the movies and I saw the latest Mission Impossible movie, but before I went to go see it, I saw Part 7, which I missed in the theater. So I did kind of like a double feature, and I gotta say, Dead Reckoning, aka Part 7, was really good. Like, that movie was like relentless when it came to the action. Like, I don't think they came up for air more than like 3 times, and when they did, it was still kind of like moving. It had a lot of energy, and the action was really good. The set pieces were really good. The whole cast was great. I think I was most excited when Isai Morales came on the screen, because I had no idea he was in the movie. I had no idea he was going to be the bad guy, and like the second I saw him, I was like, holy shit, it's Paco Moreno. I was so pumped when Isai Morales like entered that film. So I was like super excited, and he was really good. He was smooth, he was cavalier, he was charismatic, he had all these things going for him. And so when it came to Part 8, I was like, yeah, let's go, But I gotta say, I felt like Isai was a little shortchanged in the sequel. Like after Dead Reckoning, I was so ready, and then when it got to the sequel, he kind of like checked in, and then he kind of came back around at the end. Like, he like bookended the film. He wasn't so much an antagonist, because the antagonist in the film is this thing called the Entity, which is basically AI. So
okay.
Tom Cruise is fighting AI, for the benefit of mankind, and Isai Morales is just kind of like in his way.
Okay.
So it was cool. I feel like Dead Reckoning set it up really strong, but Final Reckoning, it just had it could have used a little bit more time in the oven as far as like the story goes and ironing it out.
At the very least, I think just seeing Tom Cruise do some of his stunts, that alone is worth it. That's part of the insanity, I think.
Yeah, he's a wild man.
Yeah, he is wild. He is wild.
It's insane. It is just crazy right off the bat, but it's almost like 3 movies in one. And that's one of the craziest parts about it, because there's like 3 different legs to this mission. He's like going on a world tour.
And then I think what I liked about Isai Morales he's like the proxy villain, as he is suave. And I think I feel kind of similar. Like, he was set up really strong, and he was really, because it's like, ooh, who's this? And he did carry his character really well.
I'm intrigued. Now I have to maybe push this to the forefront.
It was cool how they connected it to the earlier films, like you've seen in the maybe in the promotional material, like, it's all been leading to this. And they do throw back to the earlier films quite a bit throughout Final Reckoning. And it's like, holy shit. It's almost masterful the way they like engineered it to connect and fit together, but at the same time, it could have used a little bit more finesse. I know you've said recently that you've seen the first one a lot of times.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and say you can skip number 2. Just fucking forget that movie exists.
It was the worst from what I remember.
Yeah, and I'm here. I'm the ghost of Mission Impossible Past to tell you it's still the fucking worst. You can jump in at 3.
Yeah.
And 3 is really where like they get their act together. They've figured out the character, and they've figured out the world.
Right. I agree.
And then from there, it's off to the races. So I don't think you necessarily need to go all the way back, but there is some stuff in 1 that connects to Final Reckoning. But what have you seen, Louise?
This past week, I suppose, I watched Reign of Fire, which is an oldie but a goodie, so 2002. And sometimes, like, when I'm watching it, I remember who's in it, because it has a nice grouping of actors. So it's a great. I don't know if you've seen it.
I have not seen it.
Okay, so if
Ooh.
you like dragons, that's probably, reason number 1. There's dragons in
Prerequisite.
it. And there's the whole continuum of how dragons are portrayed in film. And I like this one because it has some like biology spins to it. And they drop these little I'd love to hear where they picked up some of their which creatures they adapted their dragons from. So that's kind of fun. I like how they're portrayed. But it has Matthew McConaughey.
Oh,
It has
I love
Christian
that.
Bale. It has Gerard Butler. He's in
Oh, okay.
there, and then Isabella Skorupko, Polish actress. But Matthew McConaughey, he's insane. Like he's like super super macho in this film, and so not chill. He is just not chill. Even the way he like walks in some scenes. If you watch it, you'll know exactly what scene I mean. Like he's just, just testosterone walking around fighting dragons. He's a dragon killer. So
Slayer.
he's a slayer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have like the even keeled Christian Bale. He's kind of like the not an underdog, but he's got a group of people that he's responsible for, that he protects. A lot of kids. It's fun to see his character go between like, bedtime stories and then, trying to keep them alive. And so seeing, I think teamwork is the other reason how these different characters that are very different and where they like pull their survival from, how they get through this situation is very very different, and together they just kind of make like a superhuman. So it's a good one. And then I was reading that there could have been a sequel, but it didn't do well, which I don't quite understand why. Of all of the dragon films out there, why didn't that one get received well? But is there something that I missed?
Well, no, because I was working at the movie theater the summer that came out. I saw it when it came out in the theater. I was like super excited because I've known Matthew McConaughey since Dazed and Confused. Like
Mm-hmm.
we go back, and Christian Bale, he was coming off of American Psycho, and so I was like, yeah, sweet, let's go check it out, and it was awesome. Like not for nothing, like okay, if you have like expectations, like you're gonna see like Gone with the Wind or Lord of the Rings, like no, no. But if you want to just go see like a tight
Mm-hmm.
little
Mm-hmm.
action movie with like good actors and like a fully functional story, Reign of Fire is not a bad way to spend 90 minutes. Like
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't overstay its welcome, hits the ground running, in and out, and like it hits all the marks. It checks all the boxes. And like Louise said, the cast is really good. McConaughey is just fucking intense. The great thing is like this is like smack in like the middle of like his rom-com heyday. Like this is 2002, so he's like bookending it with like Fool's Gold and like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, like, and then he's fucking Van Zandt and fucking Rain of
And
Fire. It's like,
bald
yeah,
and just iron. Yeah.
yeah. So
Walking around with an axe
yeah,
and a helicopter.
and every time I watch it or rewatch it, every time it's like, oh yeah, Gerard Butler. Like,
Yeah.
this is before 300. It's just he's like Christian Bale's like best buddy, his sidekick, helping him raise the kids in the castle. And then the girl, she is she's the Bond girl from GoldenEye.
Isabella.
Yeah, she's the computer whiz from GoldenEye, and here she is playing an American.
And she's the angel in the air. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's awesome.
and she's
She's awesome in
crushing
this.
as well. Like she's just given a very strong, solid performance.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds intriguing. If you got Gerard Butler and Christian Bale and Matthew McConaughey taking care of kids and fighting dragons, sounds
Mm-hmm.
like Full House with dragons. I think
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's not 2.5 hours. Like it says,
no,
like it's and it covers a lot of time, but it does it well. Everything's connected well.
it's super
So
tight, and
yeah.
then
And the graphics are really good. The dragons are good. Like it holds up.
and honestly, like there's not really any excessive profanity or
Mm-hmm.
nudity or gore. Like it's just kind of like a fun contemporary fantasy movie.
Mm-hmm. So how about you?
I watched the Pee Wee Herman documentary,
Mm.
Pee Wee Herman himself on HBO.
Nice.
I really enjoyed it. I was left wanting more. Like I still want to know more about that guy because to me, he's fucking brilliant, and
Hmm.
he's on a different plane than most creators or performers. To kind of almost like I don't want to say kill yourself, but he like Paul Rubens vanishes and he just decides to become this character for life. And to
Yeah.
Mhm.
have that kind of reach on people and that longevity, like there's only two people in my mind that have done that, and it's him and Elvira. And
Oh,
ironically, they're
yeah.
like best friends. But
Mhm.
to become those personas and to have people buy in for decades on those things and
Mhm.
still find a way to make them work in the current time, which they both did, is super impressive. Of course, I got extremely emotional in the last 10 minutes of the documentary. I won't, say what goes on, but you could, if you watch it, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's a very emotional ride to go on because, here's somebody who, made me laugh for my whole life, and to
Mhm.
see like the pain and some of the stuff that he went through. I personally think unfair to a certain degree of what he had to deal with and the circumstances surrounding why he had to deal with it. I could tell how guarded he was in the interview,
Yeah.
in all the segments, and it just makes me want to know more about him now. Unfortunately, we won't get the opportunity. I think that's the best picture we're going to get painted of the real him
Mhm.
at this point in time. But yeah, I mean, I'll just say that if you're a fan, you have to watch it. It's like required.
Yeah, I did watch it as well, and I think I was a little disappointed, but when am I not? But I think part of it was because, yeah, I wanted more.
Hmm.
It's like if this is the definitive like Pee-wee documentary, I feel like it should be definitive,
Yeah.
And there were some things in here that I felt like they went a little too long on this. So like they could have trimmed some stuff out, and then they could have explored some things a little bit more, and they could have maybe they could have explored more relationships because
Mhm.
again, when you're watching it, yeah, Paul Rubens, you can see he kind of has a wall up
Yeah.
with the director and the interviewer. But the other people who worked with him, who knew him, you get touches of it, but I feel like they could have gotten a little bit more. They could have gone in a different direction with that to like get, you know, more of the story. Of course, yeah, that last 10 minutes, I know exactly what you're talking about. And that to me is like the highlight of this thing. Like that's the reason to watch
Yeah.
both of them, just to get to that point, because then it's like, whoa.
Hmm. Yeah.
But one thing that I really enjoyed was you go on this journey with Paul Rubens and the development and the encompassing character of Pee Wee. And then when it comes to an end with the first wave of Pee Wee in the early 90s, and he has, that whole scandal at the theater, but then he overcomes it.
Yeah.
And he reinvents himself again as a regular actor, and he was in a bunch of movies throughout the 90s, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Dunstan Checks In, Mystery Men. Like,
Tilda.
yeah, he overcame such like a fucking like black hole, like blacklist,
Hmm.
position
Mhm.
in the world. He was able to overcome it with just his talent. Like
Yeah.
that's really what it is. Like his genius of talent and his skill as, an actor, to be able to create new characters and to be able to like redirect the attention or the spotlight, And then when it came around again, in the early 2000s, and like just fucking stupid like guilt by association bullshit befell
Hmm.
him, he was able to rise above again. It's like, man, that is fucking magical. It's like, holy shit, nothing can bring this guy down. And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the great things about Pee Wee is like, yeah, just that energy, that enthusiasm, that imagination, and that like limitless possibilities. I think that's one of the great takeaways that I got from the documentary.
I agree. I would have liked a little bit more from like Elvira. I would have liked a little bit more from. I mean, I think John Paragon had passed away at that point, so we weren't getting stuff from him.
Yeah,
But
but they didn't even talk to Danny Elfman. I mean, come on.
right, Danny
Mhm.
Elfman, a little more from Tim Burton. I would have liked a little more from even like Reba the Mail Lady, like Mailman Mike, Lawrence Fishburne. Just give me.
Yeah, like they threw Lawrence Fishburne in there, and it's almost like, well, what's the point? Like,
Yeah.
really? Like, hi, I'm Lawrence Fishburne.
I didn't get to see the whole thing, but I caught pieces of it. And in the bits that I saw, it did seem to me that Paul was in charge of what was going on.
Yeah.
There were a couple, like, I don't know that much about him, but I liked, he was definitely keeping whoever's doing the interviewing like on their toes. And I like
Mhm.
that they kept some of that in
Yeah.
there. But that probably would have been whatever that relationship was that was established between him and the interviewer. Probably would have been tough, because like you said, there was a wall, and maybe that's the man who he became. That wall was part of who he was, except to close friends, perhaps. But yeah, I think that interviewer didn't get behind that wall.
It was really good to watch, but at the end of the day, I feel like it could have been better. And it's nothing against Paul Rubens, and it's nothing against the character of Pee-wee. I think it's just it's on the head of the filmmaker, and that's the best he could do, so that's the best we get. So those are the coming distractions for this week.